Hello, friends. We welcome you to the Legal Breeze. We will like to discuss today about right to sports for persons with a disability. Constitutional mandate for right to sports for persons with a disability. We have part 3 and part 4, which provides various rights and entitlements to the citizens as well as non citizens in India, including for persons with a disability. Article 14. Article 14 promotes equality before law and equal protection of the laws. The equal protection clause is an important one. It is not only prohibiting discrimination, it also promotes non discrimination. Put it differently, it provides enabling environment for the weaker section and marginalized sections of the society so as to attain full equality, potential equality, substantive equality with the help of the state under Article 12. Accordingly, all the central government, state government, and other instrumentalities of the state, including Sports Authority of India, the regulatory authorities relating to the sporting, including inclusive sporting and special sporting authorities, have a mandate to comply Article 14 both in letter and spirit. This constitutional mandate has been rightly recognized under the CRPD as well as the RPD Act in various provisions, including principles. It recognizes non discrimination and equality before law and equal protection of laws under the very preamble of the RPD Act, apart from certain specific provisions under the RPD Act. In addition to this, the researchers would like to argue Article 17 will also be applicable as long as the disabled athletes or para athletes are socially segregated as different from general sporting personalities. Because Article 30 of CRPD mandate is to mainstream the disability sports with the general sports. Thereby, you are promoting inclusive sporting. And the RPD Act is also, though it is not using the similar language, but it's same language, it uses slightly similar language, but indirectly promoting inclusive sporting and mainstreaming of the disability sporting or special sporting along with the normal sporting. Example, it uses the word all sporting activities, all sports, all games, all sporting facilities, all these things. Above all, it uses the term, define the term barrier, and it promotes access barrier free environment and the access barrier free principle so as to facilitate persons with a disability to attain the full uh, opportunities, equality, and potentials in the form of all walks of life, including sporting. This is very important. Next come Article 19 mandate. The mandate under Article 19, of course, it is applicable to all the citizens, including persons with a disability. The following mandate, such as 19(1)(a), freedom of expression. Freedom of expression, not only to express their opinion, right to receive information is forming part of freedom of expression, and right to education is also forming part of this Article 19(1)(a), so as to take an informed decision. Apart from that, the assembling and right to formation of associations so as to promote special sporting is also an integral part under Article 19(1)(a), 19(1)(b), and 19(1)(c). and finally culminating into profession and trade business under Article 19(1)(g). 19(1)(g), today sports has become a profession. Sports education has also become a separate professional education. Accordingly, we need to provide a level playing field for persons with a disability to attain the highest professional competency and excellency, including in the sports. Therefore, all the universities, sports bodies, and sport facilities should fulfill this mandate so as to provide a level playing field um, for the persons with a disability. Apart from that, the right to life includes right to healthy life, and right to healthy life includes right to sporting, right to recreation, right to cultural enjoyment, all these things. This has also been recognized under Article 21 by the Supreme Court of India in various cases. Apart from, we have a special mandate under Article 47 of the Constitution, Article 39, Article 38, 41, and a good number of constitutional provisions have been guaranteeing the right to sport as a profession, right to sporting education, and right to sporting association, and to create a better inclusive sporting ecosystem in this country. So, in order to achieve the aforestated constitutional mandate, we have something called the RPD Act, which is complying this constitutional mandate to a greater extent. But there are certain aspects to be explored to make it fully constitutionally compliant. The Khelo India scheme, to some extent, it is addressing this, but there is a long way to go to see that the Khelo India scheme is fully complying the RPD Act as well as the obligations arising out of CRPD and the Constitution of India is concerned. Evolution of laws relating to rights of persons with a disability. This can be studied under two headings: pre-independence and post-independence. The rights of persons with a disability has been addressed even during the British Raj. The best example is the Indian Lunacy Act and general exemption given under IPC, certain Geneva Conventions, though it is dealing with armed forces, but it is dealing with the rights of persons with disability. These are all precursor to the rights of persons with disability in the post-human rights jurisprudence, or in the era of human rights jurisprudence after the commencement of the Constitution. After the commencement of the Constitution has implicitly guaranteed many rights in the form of fundamental rights and TPSP to the citizens, including persons with disability in India, that we have already discussed. Thereafter, the rights of persons with disability has been incorporated in various GOs, particularly to provide a reservation in employment and education way back in 1960s and 1970s. The year 1992 is a watershed in the history of disability rights regime. This is the first act known as Rehabilitation Council of India Act, RCI Act, has been promulgated. Again, till those time, disability has been treated, persons with disability has been treated as an objects, not as a subject. Just they have been treated, the concentration was mere rehabilitation. So the Rehabilitation Council of India Act has created certain institutional mechanism to train the personnels to provide special education, inclusive education for persons with a disability, at least in the school level thereafter. Then we had this Umbrella Act in 1995. During the Narasimha Rao regime, these two acts have been brought out. The 1995 Act is a very comprehensive one, addressing all developmental issues, all developmental rights of persons with a disability has been fully covered. But this has become outdated after the adoption of the Convention of the Persons with Disability and the Marrakesh Treaty by India. So thereafter, these two acts have been revised accordingly. One by the RPD Act 2016 and another by the Copyright Amendment Act 2012 respectively. Apart from that, we have one more act called the Rights of Multiple Persons with Disabilities Act 1998, the National Trust Act. And we have the Mental Health Act 2017. Out of which the large majority of the disability rights legislations are administered by the Social Justice, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. And few legislations are administered by different ministries. Say example, the Mental Health Act is administered by the Ministry of Health, Family Affairs, Government of India. The Copyright Act dealing with the accessibility of persons with a disability of intellectual property material, copyrighted works, is being administered by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Previously, it was administered by the Ministry of HRD. Apart from that, we had policies, national policies for persons with a disability. To some extent, it has addressed the right to sporting. Recently, that was revised through a draft national policy on persons with a disability in the year 2022, something like that, replacing the earlier national policy on persons with a disability. We have a scheme way back in the year 2009 or 2010 during the 11th 5-year plan to promote right to sports for persons with disability. This has been merged under the Khelo India scheme, which we will be dealing with little later. This is the evolution of persons with a disability, rights of persons with a disability, including right to sporting. Apart from that, we have certain general laws addressing the various developmental rights of the citizens, such as the right to education, right to information, Juvenile Justice Act, right to Food Security Act. All of them are addressing the issues of persons with disability in their respective domain, thereby strengthening the inclusive right. Say example, the right to inclusive education under the RT Act, the right to inclusive food security under the Food Security Act, right to accessible information and inclusive freedom of expression for the persons with a disability under the RTI Act, like that. Therefore, the need is that to enact a separate legislation in the lines of the aforesaid legislation as the right to sport, as a right to profession and right to play for the children, and the matters connected with a separate legislation to address the issues of all the sports persons, athletes, including sports persons with disability and athletes with disability, including special disability. Right to sports for persons with disability under RPD Act 2016. As we have already discussed, the RPD Act has been enacted to fulfill the obligations arising out of UNC RPD 2006. India is one among the first country to sign and ratify this CRPD. India has ratified CRPD on 1st October 2007. Thereafter, several rounds of draft bills and bills have been prepared to enact this the current RPD Act 2016. Finally, the act has been passed by both the houses in 2016. It has received the assent on so and so date, and the same has been notified with 27 April 2017 onwards. That means it has come into operation by 2017. Rules have been framed thereafter. The Act contains 102 sections and a schedule, divided into several chapters. The following terms are very much important to be understood, which have been defined by this Act. A. Persons with disability. B. Persons with benchmark disability. C. Persons with disability having high support needs and special needs. Besides which, several concepts and principles have also been incorporated under this Act, such as reasonable accommodation, universal design, barrier free environment, accessibility, and accessibility standards. Mandatory observation of accessibility standards by all entities in all their facilities, all these things. This is very important. Above all, the term public facilities, public building has been defined under this Act, which has close bearing or close connection relating to the right to sporting, special sporting, inclusive sporting for persons with a disability. Chapter 2 deals with the rights and entitlements. This is very important. It talks about various principles, including reasonable accommodation, non discrimination, full and effective participation, including intersectional discrimination such as women with disability, children with disability, etc. Chapter 4 is very important, particularly section 28, 29, 30. 28 talks about research and development. 29 talks about right to cultural right to access cultural facilities and recreational facilities, right to enjoy and access the cultural facilities and recreational facilities. This includes arts, dance, music, all other things. It is highly interesting to note it covers adventural activities also, adventural sports. Uh, we are afraid no effective steps have been taken to fulfill this particular mandate pertaining to the adventural sporting activities for persons with a disability till this date. Though we have records that visually challenged persons have scaled the peak of Everest. There is a festivity called Purple Fest, organized by the Goa Commissionerate of Persons with Disability, Government of Goa, and Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, as an international festival every year in the month of January. This covers certain important games such as car race, etc. But we understand there is no adventural sporting activities is encouraged. Maybe These sort of events may include these sort of concept the years to come, but we hope it should come later rather than it should come sooner rather than later. Then um, comes section 30. Section 30 specifically guarantees the right to sporting, right to special sports, right to inclusive sports for persons with a disability. It provides mandate to the state government and central government to create enabling mechanism, create the necessary sporting ecosystem, inclusive sporting ecosystem, so as to enable the persons with disability to take part in the sporting activities equally with their non-disabled counterparts. For that, it prescribes certain steps to be taken, uh, such as talent identifying, governance, allocation of grants, creation of awards, rewards, incentivization, all other things. We have done some studies. It clearly indicates that the government of India, to some extent, provides certain awards for the persons with a disability in the sports background. Though not 100% equal, to a greater extent, yes, it complying the equality in the Khel Ratna with Disability Award, Khel Ratna with Disability, Arjuna Awards, Padma Awards, etc., have been given to the disability sports persons. Other than that, there is no other incentives or other awards are given to them. State governments, Tamil Nadu government is not providing any award for persons with disability achieving in the sports arena is concerned. So this attitude should be changed. Then we have certain institutional mechanism under this RPD Act. The RPD Act creates three things. One, Central Advisory Board and State Advisory Board. The composition of this Central Advisory Board and State Advisory Boards includes Secretary to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs at the central level as well as the state level. So as to coordinate and to integrate the sporting activities for persons with a disability. We don't have any data about the deliberations of all these things in the advisory board meeting minutes. Next come the office of the chief commissioner and commissioner at the central level and state level. They have been mandated to implement this act in their respective jurisdiction as a noodle officer. The powers and functions of the advisory board as well as the chief commissioner and the commissioner includes monitoring the implementation of various programs, policies, welfare measures, developmental measures for persons with a disability, including the right to sporting. But we don't have any data about the annual reports or special reports prepared by the chief commissioner and the commissioner, providing these sort of details relating to the steps taken by them for empowering disability sports person. Next come the constitution of National Fund and the State Fund under the Disabilities Act, RPD Act 2016. We strongly recommend such a similar fund, a dedicated national, state, and local fund shall be created and administered jointly by the Ministry of Sports, Education, and Disability Affairs, so that it brings win-win situation and achieve the inclusive sporting and bring the disability sporting with the mainstream sporting truly integrated. These are some of the steps and some of the institutional mechanism created under the RPD Act is concerned. Thank you.